Hey, what is going on, Guardians? Nem here for Planet Destiny, and today we're going to be taking a look at the updated Graviton lands. Now, while this beast has been out for a bit, I wanted to make sure that I covered every aspect of this weapon. So first off, we're going to take a look at the perks. Black Hole. The second shot of a burst rips a hole through space and time, doing high damage and recoil with no falloff. Hammer Forged Rifling increases range. Accurized rounds further increases range. Cosmology, kills with this weapon causes enemy targets to detonate and spawn void projectiles that tracks targets. And finally, Fitted Stock, increases stability, moderately controls recoil, and slightly decreases handling speed. Now, the Graviton Lance is probably one of the more unique archetypes of weapons in Destiny 2. It's considered a pulse rifle due to the fact that it fires a 2-round burst, but it shoots the second round fast enough where it feels like you're shooting a scout rifle instead. The RPM of this weapon is 257 rounds per minute, which makes it stand out as well. Now let's put numbers aside for a second and talk about the weapon in PvE. In PvE, the Graviton Lance is a fantastic display of void light shows. Killing ads with this weapon has never been more fun. As the Cosmology perk kicks in, you can see the crowd control ability that the weapon has as the void projectiles seek out other targets and sends them into the void in a rather flourishing manner. The Lance makes short work of basic ads such as thralls, drags, cabals, shanks, etc., while providing some decent damage to majors and shielded majors as well. However, I wouldn't rely heavily on the weapon for bosses and ultras as the DPS is a bit on the slower side. It does hit pretty darn hard though, but there are better weapons if you're looking, solely at DPS. Alright, now for the PvP portion of this weapon. It's good. It's really good when you're using it at mid to long range. Now let's take a look at these numbers again, shall we? Now keep in mind that the Lance has a 2-round burst, the second one dealing massive damage. To the body, the first round does 8 points of damage, while the second round deals 40 points of damage. While precision, on the other hand, is 12 on the first round and 59 to the dome. And this is across all of the boards, 25 meters, all the way to 50 and 60. Now all it takes is 3 bursts to the head and you have 1 dead guardian. As you may have noticed by now, the Graviton Lance is running pretty rampant in the Crucible right now. The thing with this weapon though is that it excels at mid to long range combat, so you're going to want to have something for close range. Some of my personal favorites are Better Devils and Antiope in the origin story. Now, one thing I wanted to mention as well in this video is how the Lance performs against some of the other exotics that are within its area. So I wanted to take a look at 2 different exotics. First and foremost, the Vigilance Wing. Because right before 1.2.0, Vigilance Wing was dominating the Crucible. While it's still a really good weapon to use, the Lance does seem to excel in some aspects. The biggest issue between the Wing and the Lance is the range drop-off. Meanwhile, the Lance virtually has no range drop-off. The Wing seems to start dropping in damage once you reach a 45 meter distance between you and your target. As you can see here, the Wing at 45 meters dropped 1 point of damage compared to at 35, and it goes from 15 body to 4 and precision 20 to 19. Now when we hit 55 meter distance, you can see the damage drop off is much more noticeable. Body goes from 14 to 12 and precision 19 to 16 points of damage. So it immediately becomes noticeable that the Lance has the upper hand here. Not to mention that because the Wing is a 5 burst pulse rifle, the recoil of the weapon needs to be taken into consideration as well. Now finally, another weapon that I wanted to showcase here is the Jade Rabbit. Now I know a lot of you are gonna question why, because it's not even in the same archetype. But you're right. But being that the Lance fires those 2 rounds fairly quickly, it does feel like you're shooting a scout rifle more so than a pulse. And at the moment, it seems to be a solid contender against the Graviton Lance in certain instances. Now the Jade Rabbit seems to function like the Lance in the fact that it doesn't suffer too much from a damage drop-off. At least not in the same range that was used in this video. As you can see, the Jade Rabbit consistently lands the same damage values at various ranges. One of the things to take note is that the Jade Rabbit deals additional precision damage when landing body shots. So without any precision buffs, the Jade deals 57 points of precision damage, as far as 60 meters away from your target. Now when you hit a body shot, which deals 41 points of damage, 40 if you're a little bit further away, your next precision shot will deal 61 to the head. Now when you take a look at the numbers overall, the Graviton Lance deals 71 precision damage, that is assuming you're nailing all of your headshots, and a 3 burst of the Lance deals a total of 213 points of damage, which would bring down Guardians at maximum resilience. While the Jade Rabbit deals 61, which is a pretty significant difference. Remember that more body shots that you chain with a rabbit, the better precision damage you get. So if you manage to hit 3 body shots and a precision, you will deal around 191 points of damage, which will most likely put down a Guardian that's roughly around 4 or 5 resilience. So if we're going to go by numbers, Graviton Lance seems to be king in damage. Just make sure you're nailing those headshots. But if you're getting frustrated against people using it in the Crucible, Jade Rabbit is a solid contender against it if you have it. Now a quick mention before the video is over, the Cosmology perk, while amazing as it is in PvE, you don't see it being super useful too often in PvP. There have been moments where I have successfully killed another opponent with the Void Explosion, but most of the time they need to be injured already, and really close to the original explosion in order to be really affected by it. So there you have it, folks. The Lance is a really strong weapon to use these days, fun in both aspects of the game, PvE and PvP. But remember to pair it with a close range weapon as well in PvP. I hope you guys enjoyed this in-depth look at this weapon and its lethality. Thank you for watching, Guardians, and I'll see you next time.